Just like the legendary Mothman from West Virginia and the Appalachian Skinwalkers, the internet has had its fair share of lore and cryptids. From the Mystery of Polybius to the disturbing AI-generated Loab, in today's video we'll be examining the origins of the internet's most renowned and infamous cryptids. Let's have a look. Polybius is an urban legend that dates back to the early 80s. It refers to an arcade game that supposedly functioned as part of a governmental psychology experiment with potentially detrimental effects. As the story goes, in 1981 a new arcade game began to pop up at several places in Portland, Oregon. Even next to heavyweights like Frogger and Pac-Man, its addictiveness was abnormal. People would wait in line or even fight over who could play next while keeping their eyes locked on the screen. The game was quite abstract, fast-paced and with a few puzzle elements. Not too out of place at the time. Strangely, however, men dressed in all black would routinely come and extract player data even after the most committed gamer had left the arcade. It was rumoured at the time that they were testing the game's psychoactive impact on the public. Sure enough, players would go on to suffer extreme side effects, including, but not limited to, night terrors, seizures, hallucinations, and insomnia. Unsettlingly, the game was promptly removed from all stores and wiped from existence only a month after it was initially released. As the internet as we know it would have only come into fruition in the 90s, the legend of Polybius would have survived largely through small communities, bulletin board systems, and early computer networks. However, no recorded trace from these forms of communication exists. In fact, Polybius was first mentioned online in 1998 with a coinop.org article claiming to have played it and being in possession of a supporting ROM file with damning evidence. The image attached showed the game's start screen with the year 1981 and the name of the company that created it, believed to be of German descent. When translated, the word roughly equivalates to two German terms, meaning senses to extinguish, or to extinguish the senses. Today, the most popular conspiracy remains consistent, that the game was a psyop designed by the government to test the effectiveness of gaming in influencing mental states and conveying subliminal messages. This premise suits the technological anxiety and paranoia of the 80s, and still holds relevance in a contemporary world plagued by games built on the fundamentals of gambling. It is worth noting that no ROM dumps or authentic Polybius cabinets have ever been recovered or even verifiably seen in photos. Furthermore, the general consensus is that the game was a hoax, or simply an urban legend based on a series of coincidental illnesses in Portland in 1981. Still, as the 2003 issue of GamePro noted in print, the existence of Polybius is ultimately inconclusive. Unless new evidence comes to light, it will probably remain so forever. In April 2022, while using an AI image generator, Twitter user Supercomposite discovered something disturbing. While using a specific set of keywords, all of the images presented to them featured the same woman. In all of the original images, she had rosacea on her cheeks, long brown hair, and empty, soulless eyes. Supercomposite labelled this woman as Loab, after the prompt returned an album cover style image with the name in the upper left corner. This case is particularly unsettling, as the inputted letters DIG, ITA, PNTICS are in no way linked to this woman online, meaning there is no explainable reason the AI would draw her out consistently from its database. Going further, Supercomposite found that even when combining Loab with other images, her presence was persistent, lending itself to more gory and violent results. Loab was essentially a person created entirely by AI that it felt was so significant its features would remain consistent across prompts. This is arguably the most prominent example of a truly digital cryptid, a creature created by artificial intelligence that is seemingly deeply embedded in its database and associated with dark and graphic imagery. Of course, Loab is not the only AI-based cryptid living in the cavernous halls of AI databases. Crungus is another recent example, spawned from comedian Guy Kelly's experimentation with different prompts. After inputting a few different terms, he found the word Crungus yielded a creepy but consistent creature. Taking on the appearance of a goblin, or perhaps a higher-ranking gremlin, it looked like something fresh out of the mines of Moria. Again, the disturbing thing here is that there is no well-documented association between the term Crungus and goblin online. The AI supposedly should have no idea, least of all a consistent vision, of what a Crungus might look like. Despite this, something deep within its generation process had enough of a presence to repeatedly output the same being. For both cases of Loab and Crungus, many point to the theory that AI is somehow revealing their existence, with their consistent features proving that they are real creatures. These ideas suggest that there is a mysterious, adjacent world to our own that exists outside of human reach or perception, only being made available to us in glimpses through the power of AI. Of course, both of these creatures can simply be attributed to errors in their respective systems. Furthermore, now that they have been placed in the mainstream and documented in news outlets and social media, they will continue to appear in AI generators, which will now have an even stronger association between the prompt and the supposed digital cryptid. At least, that's what we can keep telling ourselves. Next up, I'd like to look at some absolute classics. As opposed to AI-generated cryptids, the following are internet culture phenomena with lore recorded in creepypastas, often based on creepy man-made or photographed images. Starting with one of the most iconic, how many of you remember the Rake? Often described as a hairless dog or a naked, disfigured man, the Rake first appeared in a 2005 4chan thread, brainstorming a new monster. The first post described the creature as follows. Humanoid, about 6 feet tall when standing, but usually crouching and walking on all fours. It has very pale skin, the face is blank, as in no nose, no mouth. However, it has 3 solid green eyes, one in the middle of its forehead and the other 2 on either side of its head, towards the back. Usually seen in front yards in suburban areas. Typically, it just watches the observer, but it will stand up and attack if approached. When it attacks, a mouth opens up, as if a hinged skull that opens at the chin, reveals many tiny but dull teeth. Unsurprisingly, this initial description went through numerous revisions, finally ending up with the face of the creepypasta we know and love today. Moving forwards in the timeline, 2010 saw the first widely accepted image of the creature. It looked almost real, as if it had been captured on a trap camera late at night. This first appearance gained so much traction that a few news outlets ended up reporting on it to monopolise on some of the hype. Ultimately, however, this image was revealed to be a fake, and simply part of Resistance 3's promotional material. Another cryptid that dates back to the early days of the internet is Smiledog. He is supposedly an entity that haunts the lives of anyone that sees his face, driving them to insanity. Smiledog was originally created by Michael Lurtz, or Warren is Dead, and takes on the appearance of a grinning Siberian husky. Like the Rake, much of its mythical status is dependent on the creepypasta, and the fact it was shared thousands of times by different people, many adding to the lore by spreading rumours or sightings online. One of the more interesting consequences of digital cryptids like the Rake and Smiledog is the number of artworks and smaller communities they spawn online. These can have resounding cultural influence, and can be likened to multimedia giants like the SCP. As opposed to traditional real-world cryptids like Mothman, their basis in online communities, many of which being collaborational, gives hundreds of people the unique opportunity to engage and participate in the lore as it develops and grows. A more recent example is the Backrooms, which, stemming from a single pixelated image, has grown into a huge lore-driven project providing opportunities for artists like Kane Pixels to explore and contribute to it in multiple mediums. Still, like their real-world counterparts, digital cryptids continue to provide a mystical, fascinating energy that is hard to replicate intentionally. They provide great entertainment and will continue to do so long into the future. Thanks for watching. Feel free to drop a like if you enjoyed, or a dislike if otherwise. Also, I'd like to say thanks for all the support and interesting discussions under my last 2 videos. Feel free to comment below any future topics you'd like me to cover. As always, this has been Extrament, and I'll see you in the next one.